All right. Good morning, everybody. Today we are talking about California. We're talking about illegal CDLs being generated by the rogue state of California. And I've got Mario here to discuss this with us. Uh, Basically, we're going to be talking about this major traffic accident. And I use the word accident loosely here because this is psychotic. So what had happened? You with me, Mario? You all right, brother?
I'm fine. It's just okay. Look, for the audience's edification. Okay, I am hungover right now. Okay, there's an unofficial rule between Chris and I where I'm allowed to just flake out and not appear on the show like at least a couple days every week. But Chris is not abiding by the unofficial rules, and he's forcing me out of bed. Okay, under threat of severe personal shame, which both of us having been in the army and having ascribed to a code of honor are aware that that is a very powerful motivator. So I am here, okay, but I am at a reduced capacity. However, I have been wanting to do this show for about a week now, so I'm going to do my best, okay? So I'm here. Blame
Plus,
Chris.
I couldn't hit the audience with this thumbnail and
Also,
not have Mario on.
this thumbnail is hot, okay? I'm not going to lie. This thumbnail is it's killing it. Okay.
So what happened was this. And I mean, the rest of it is just the accident response teams. The Sergeant Major says the federal government has jurisdiction here because of interstate commerce. I would agree. As much as I despise the Commerce Clause, if it's for anything, it would be for stuff like this. Like, listen,
Yep.
you can't treat each other badly. Like that's the point. You can't treat each other badly.
Or if a state goes completely rogue and is putting unqualified individuals, okay, on the roads across the entire nation, right? Like California in the issuance of these commercial driver's license with a Biden era preference for foreign workers. Okay, I mean, like, not to get too far ahead of this. Okay, we are gonna talk about the this particular problem as a result as it deals with the Sikhs, okay, with like Punjabs, all right. Um, but when the only thing that matters to you is reducing costs as much as absolutely possible, like that's the kind of shit that creates communists, all right. When you abuse capitalism to the point where the only thing that matters is making it as cheap as possible, or cutting any corner legally, that's legal at least, or paralegal, if you will, okay, especially if you got like a failed and a weak, administration like the Biden administration. If you do everything you possibly can to reduce the cost of everything to the lowest fucking point, that's how you get communists, okay. It's capitalism gone amok, where the only thing that matters is the absolute bottom line, like Ayn Rand style. All right, that's what creates communists when you do shit like
Correct.
this. Because
In fact,
what? Because
it is not possible to have even the ideology of communism without first having a successful capitalist state that
to
creates
burn.
sufficient wealth
Yeah.
for people to envy and to seek in that way. Um,
Yep. But Patrick Brown asks, wasn't this the idiot who was making an illegal U-turn on the interstate? Yes, this happened
yes,
here in Florida. Okay, this was on a turn. This was on a Florida Turnpike. There's like one or two of them, but anyway, it's Florida Turnpike. It's a two-lane road. All right, two-lane road. Uh, with a median, okay, and then another two-lane road on the other side. All right, so you know, white line. So both lanes of the road are going in the same direction. Now there's a median, and there are like
pass
areas where you
throughs.
can pass-throughs, okay, where you can cross over to the other median, all right. But normally they're marked with signs that say for police use only. Okay, when you get on the turnpike, the point is you're supposed to just burn through at 80 miles an hour without any interruption. All right, get to where you're going. Um, what this trucker did was he was in the right lane and he attempted to make a U-turn from the right lane through the police crossover, okay, area onto the other side of the turnpike to turn around. In doing so, he basically the size of the 18-wheeler blocked off all traffic. He literally created a wall. So any vehicle on his side of the turnpike would have no option but to hit him. All right. In the median, there is basically like a ditch. So if you drove into that at 80 miles an hour, you're also going to die. Or by some fluke, if you like jump out of it, like, Blues Brothers style, you're going to be going into oncoming traffic at 80 miles an hour. You're going to die. Okay. If the driver had attempted to divert and avoid this truck to the right, they would have gone off 80 miles an hour into trees. All right. Also dead. This Punjab truck driver created a death trap on the highway because he was like flagrantly violating the basically driving, our driving laws. Absolute madness. And this driver was given a license in California, a commercial driver's license, CDL, under a program set up during the Biden administration, where the trucking industry has attempted to utilize the unchecked waves of illegal immigration into this country and attempted to profit off of it. All right. There are specific Punjab or Sikh. By the way, Punjabs and Sikhs. Okay, yes, we're talking about Indians, but it's a particular type. Remember, if you watch the deep dive, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's like 16 different ethnic groups in India. The Punjabs are the ones up in like Kashmir, the ones that are closest to the Afghans. All right, which Chris is quite aware of. All right, or has a lot of experience with.
Yep.
All right, so these are Sikhs. There's a Punjab trucking school in California where basically they're just rubber stamping, all right, basically rubber stamping fake commercial driver's licenses and distributing them to Indian truck drivers who will basically work for half of what an American trucker would work for or a Canadian trucker would work for. Okay.
Correct. And part of that, like Jason points out, they're always team driving, right? And just like we saw in the video here that I just played for you a second ago, but you see this guy's got his shoes off. I can't really see it there, but he's got his shoes off. He's sitting there having a snack, playing on his phone. He's taking his break, right? So the trucker rules, you can't drive more than 10 hours. You have to pull over and sleep, right? What they do is they take turns. So an American doing this is driving 10 hours. He's taking a break so he can get some shut eye to stay compliant with the rules. These guys aren't doing that. They're pulling over just long enough to switch drivers, and that's doing a couple of things. Pitt Danny says they must keep a log. That's also correct. But that's doing a couple of things. One, they're not actually resting, right? You saw Homeboy taking his break. He's just sitting up in the seat playing with his phone. Maybe he gets a little bit of shut eye there, but he's not stopping and sleeping and getting an 8 hours, the 8 hours of sleep that he needs. Or hell, I run on 5 or 6 hours most times. But so there's that. So they're falsifying the logs in order to get away with that. And then the other piece of it is by having two drivers like that on one run, they're undercutting everybody that's doing it the way that you're supposed to do it. Now, the way that you're supposed to do it is a safety thing, but basically what they're doing is they're working for half pay, right? Because they're splitting the load pay.
Just like H-1B in tech, okay? They're working for half pay. Um, and you're going to turn people against the entire economic system if you function like this, where you'll cut costs at any. Where it's not human. This is not like an economic system is supposed to function within like the confines of what is human. Okay, you're supposed to have some. You're supposed to care about the society you're from. You're supposed to care about your country, and when you operate as purely profit seeking with a purely profit seeking motive, this is what you get. Okay, now there was talk during the Biden administration about how we have a severe shortage in commercial truck drivers, okay, like in CDL license holders. No, none of that was true, okay? There was no shortage. About the same time in 2017, 2018, when I got out of the Army and was pursuing my own field in the trades, all right, with commercial diving and underwater construction, there was a huge push at the time for um, people to go to trucker school, okay, to get their commercial driver's license. The industry was flooded, okay, with all kinds of like brand new drivers. What the companies wanted was, well, we just want to do it at half the cost. All right. So they took advantage of the fact that they took advantage of the waves of illegal immigration under Biden and started essentially creating diploma mills, um, just like this Punjab trucking school, okay, is doing, which should be getting a visit from the Department of Homeland Security, okay, or ICE in the coming days, hopefully. But yeah, they're pushing you off the road. They're putting people who have, doesn't matter what their immigration status is, what the legality of it is, putting them on the road at, and you're at risk, all because they just want to save money, all for profit incentive. They don't fucking care. They don't care about you. They don't care about your
Yeah, let
safety.
me
They just want to save money, and it doesn't matter how many people die in the process.
let me put this in there because Mario mentioned the Punjab trucker schools, and you hear it said that way. These Punjab trucker schools. No, it's Punjab trucker school. The point I'm making here, this isn't. He's not making some racist comment like, "Oh, this is a WAP trucker school" or this is a Chicano trucker school. No. The name of the school is literally the Punjab driving school, the Punjab truck driving school. To be clear. So, how Biden paved the way for dangerous Indians to drive 60-ton semi trucks on U.S. roads. The trucking industry in America has become a wrecking machine, and Joe Biden helped put it into overdrive. What's happening right now isn't just about driver shortages or workforce diversity. It's DEI on foreign steroids, and is putting every American driver at risk, as we tragically saw unfold on Florida's Turnpike, where an illegal Indian truck driver murdered 3 innocent people with his semi. And yes, murder is the correct word, right? Vehicular homicide. Um, I had a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend a long, long time ago. Her brother was a bit of a shithead. Made a bunch of bad mistakes. Got himself in trouble. And the night before he was supposed to report to jail, he went out and got shit faced. He got hammered and was driving on a little twisty country road when an old couple pulled out in front of him on a blind driveway. He plowed into him, T-boned him. Uh, you know, and honestly, that could happen to somebody. That could happen to somebody who wasn't totally destroyed on drugs and alcohol, and who was driving the speed limit. Some old country roads, they'll be 60 mile an hour, and you might have a blind driveway. But point is, he hit him. He didn't do it on purpose. He didn't try to murder these people. He was absolutely charged with vehicular homicide, because that's what that was. Those people died because of his reckless failure.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what this Punjab did. He turned, and by all accounts, there doesn't appear to be any kind of like drug abuse involved here. He sober as a priest started a full on U-turn on a turnpike where people are going, like Mario
80
said,
miles an
80
hour.
miles an hour.
It's 80 miles an hour. Like that's why you see that minivan. That minivan had no chance. There was
Right.
no time to brake. There was no time to stop. There was no way to go. Every single path it would have resulted in death for the family. And it is negligent homicide, okay? Because anyone with any common sense knows that you can't make a U-turn and block off the entire road where people are going like 80 miles an hour. This isn't some like side street where the speed limit's 30 miles an hour, okay? This is homicide, and this happens on a weekly basis all across the country, okay? Um, if you look into the news, like horrific truck crashes, there are multiple that occurred last week, and all of them involve basically immigrants who don't speak English driving, essentially handling our nationwide freight transit. All right, why? Because they're cheaper, and because that's all that matters. Your life doesn't matter. All that matters is someone saving money. That's it. Your life does not matter. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't matter anymore.
We've got this one also from Revolver. There's a lot more you need to know about illegals hijacking our highways. The horrific and deadly crash on the Florida Turnpike that killed 3 innocent people should have been the final alarm bell. An illegal Indian driver pulled an insane unauthorized U-turn with a 60-ton semi, turning a minivan into a coffin. But this wasn't an isolated tragedy. It was the latest example in a deadly trend that's been plaguing our highways for years, right? And by years, what he really means is for about 4 years, because this was very much an Obama administration thing. Excuse me. So, to be clear, at the federal level, it is illegal for an illegal immigrant to hold a CDL. Right? Now, pen in that for just a second. Let's be very clear. Right? Electrician's license, contractor's license, CDL, any kind of license. It is illegal for the person to be in the country. It should follow naturally that it is also illegal for them to hold professional credentials in our country. This guy is a hostile foreign invader who was already known to have been an illegal immigrant, had already been ordered deported at some point, and had remained in the country, and was pushed through a California-based CDL mill that, like you pointed out, it's the Punjab Truck Drivers School. It is a CDL mill that exists for the purpose of granting commercial driver's licenses to ethnically Indian, specifically Punjabi, hostile foreign invaders.
It's like an ethnic mafia, essentially. Okay, the Sikhs, all right, the Punjabs, and the trucking industry in North America. Like, how did this just suddenly happen, Mario? This is crazy. I never knew this. Okay, yeah, it's because it's been going on for years in Canada. All right, Sikh, the Sikh truckers, okay, and Sikh trucking companies basically used the same type of laws where it gave preference to immigrants, legal or otherwise, right? Giving them preference, literally a government mandated leg up over the domestic workers of the country, the domestic drivers. And Indian truck drivers have taken over the industry in Canada, all right? And they have a lot of lobbying influence there. And it has expanded now it's expanded into shit-lib blue states in the United States, like California. And now it's a problem here in this country, right? It used to be back at the time, at the passage of NAFTA, right? Way back in the 90s, people were worried about, drunk Mexican truck drivers coming across the border and causing vehicular mayhem, right? That happened as well. But this is like a next level. Because, I mean,
well, because of the particular illegal immigrants we're talking about, it's next level because road accidents are a major health concern in India, with over 450,000 reported accidents responsible for over 150,000 deaths in 2022. Mario, you did your time in Iraq. I did mine in Afghanistan. I wonder if I could find a picture of the Death Star, but I've talked a little bit about the about the Kandahar Death Star. There is a traffic circle on Kandahar, and this is actually pretty common around the Middle East. Kandahar Death Star traffic circle. I hope I can find a picture of it. It's insane. There's like a dozen entry and exit points to this giant traffic circle and on the NATO airbase in Kandahar. No, I can't find a good picture of it quickly and easily. Anyway, there's like a dozen or so entry and exit points to this giant roundabout, right? And there's like a freaking market in the middle of this giant roundabout, and the roundabout itself is 4 lanes of traffic, sort of, right? And so, a couple of the roads going into it are 4 lanes. Most of the roads going into it are only 2 lanes, but the whole thing it's 4 lanes of traffic. People park on the innermost lane, right? And it's got pedestrians walking like donkeys with packs on them, mule or horse-drawn carts, people riding in carts, people riding on livestock, mixed in with your Hiluxes, your little Ford Rangers, your small civilian transports, Kubota and Gator side by sides, and fucking tanks. Right? This traffic circle is a mix of everything from donkeys to Abrams. And that is not an uncommon thing around the Middle East.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is. If you've never had to maneuver an armored vehicle between donkeys and tractor trailers in a roundabout with pedestrians crossing it to get to the market in the middle.
Yeah, you can't have that. The only people that are qualified to drive on like multi-lane roundabouts, okay, with like double-digit exits, like you're talking about, like only the British can do that, okay. Like that is a British only type of thing. Even Americans can't handle that without killing each other en masse. Okay, that sounds like a death trap.
Be controversial asks the bizarre. Yeah, it's over by when I was there, it's been a long time. It was next to the Harvest Garden Chow Hall and the armored truck wash rack near the khaki facility.
Khaki. Everyone's favorite contractor, khaki.
So, and then this is the article that you sent me to start with, Mario. Tips the scales after deadly Florida crash caused by illegal Indian truck driver. And yeah, I mean, guys, the freaking go watch some videos of people driving, in India. It's even without getting into the crazier, big, thick roundabouts. It's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy to watch the traffic patterns over there. And like I said, 500,000 accidents, 150,000 dead annually from traffic accidents. Like, we make the argument here in the United States that if you're going to argue for gun control based on the number of deaths, then you need to argue for outlawing personal vehicles because they kill more people every year, and it's less than a quarter of that.
Common sense truck control now.
So if Singh's name sounds familiar, by the way, that's the Harjinder Singh. That's this guy.
Like half the people in northern India are named Singh. It's like Kim in Korea.
Right. It's like
Korea,
exactly.
Okay? It's
one of those
names. It means like one of their ancestor basically genocided people, and now everyone has the same last name, essentially.
And so if it sounds familiar, it's because there are unconfirmed reports that he is the same inept illegal driver who a few years ago took out a historic Arkansas bridge after ignoring the posted warning signs. Hey, did you
Yep.
get your truck stuck? Nope, I was delivering this overpass, ran out of gas.
Yep. Because he couldn't read maximum height limit on the road. Okay.
Correct.
Also, he was stopped in New Mexico, right, for a traffic violation. All right, earlier this year, and he could not pass the basic English proficiency. That's like almost a brand new policy. All right, where they question them, and if you can't speak English, then basically you're getting taken out of the truck. If you
Yeah,
can't read the road signs, like
right. There's
what
been
it
a lot of
is it
criticism of the Trump administration over this. Or, oh, they're pulling over truck drivers and just snatching them out of their trucks and deporting these hardworking. No, no, they're not. They're arresting and deporting hostile foreign invaders, which is a much what was the Bush term? What he said? A compassionate conservative. Yeah.
yeah
So they're arresting and deporting hostile foreign invaders, which is a much more compassionate conservative policy than I'm personally comfortable with. You, we're not talking about people who found themselves, on the wrong side of a law where intent is not a component, right? No, you committed a crime of war against a sovereign nation. Your survival of the consequences of that is a bridge too far for my taste. We've literally got a place named Death Valley. We can dig there.
Yep.
So, the Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed that ICE is seriously considering immigration enforcement at truck weigh stations across America. I hate this language. Seriously considering immigration.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do or do not. There is no try. Okay. It's don't tell me the files are on your desk. Okay. Do it.
Here, Sergeant Major asks, "Do you think I should not be allowed to drive in the Czech Republic?" That's a
Correct.
great red herring, old man. But the fact is,
you should not be
you have an
allowed to leave the
American
country.
driver's license. There are laws which reference the use of your driver's license as an international driver's license, and you're talking about driving a civilian vehicle. You're not talking about putting your hands on a 60-ton tractor trailer that you have no experience operating, and just cutting loose on the roads where you can't read. Now, if you don't read the language, if you can't understand the signs, then you probably should not be driving in that country.
Pit Danny. Jesus Christ. All right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I looked at truck driving when I had just got out of the military. Okay, because like I said, I was looking at an article, right? Top 10 employment options for military veterans who don't have a degree, right? One of them, of course, was a commercial truck driver, right? And it just so happens the 10-sided die did not land on that number, so I didn't pursue it. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because that was really hot. Like I said, at the time I was going into the trades, commercial truck driving was exploding nationwide. All kinds of people were trying to get into it, and a lot of people did. And then I guess the companies decided that, well, we want to basically we want to double our money, and we're going to take advantage of this illegal immigrant bonanza under Joseph the Robinette Biden. Okay, and laid off American truck drivers and replaced them with fucking scabs. All right, which is what happens. Which is why we're in this situation. Alex, British dude doesn't expire. It's valid for life. Alex, you kind of need to tone it down a little bit. Okay, in the chat. I really don't. I don't want our enemies to understand that you can force a probably like a 30% reduction selection event by simply sending Americans through multi-lane roundabouts. Okay, if you send Americans through. If you want to break the Yankee, if you want to break the American, you simply send them en masse through multi-lane roundabouts. All right, Bonus points if it's a British one where we're going the wrong way. All right. Yeah, you would it would be basically be fucking soul harvester. All right, for Americans, can't do it. You
There's
need
a
to stop,
road.
Alex. You're inciting violence, sir. Okay, it's out of
So
control.
Georgia is the number one timber producer in the country. There's a road in the deep country, out in the middle of nowhere boonies that I drive along sometimes when I'm going from my house to the VA clinic for VA business, whatever. And on either side of the road are lumber yards and mills, and they move the logs and the lumber back and forth between the mills from different processing positions on rail cars, right? It's trains, right? And just for like 5 miles, the train track crosses the road a dozen or so times. There's no bar, there's no signal lights. There's just, some of them have stop signs and some of them have rail crossing signs. But the trains are going constantly, so you just like it's basically stop and go while you're going through there. And right smack in the middle of that long drive where the trains keep crossing the road, there's a roundabout. It's 6 entry points, right? It's a 6-point roundabout, and the train track goes through the middle of it. It's absolutely harrowing.
Good Lord.
Yes, the train track. So the train track crosses the roundabout twice because the one track goes straight through the middle of the circle. It's yeah, that one.
Yeah, the
I
only
had a
thing
hard time with that one the first time I came. I was like, you're kidding.
Yeah.
So I just drove through the middle of it.
You drove through the middle of it. The train's coming. You get semicircled. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to get semicircled. If you can't, you will die. All right. All right. So yeah. So I mean, this is like there are examples of there are examples of violation of immigration law. Okay. There are examples of shockingly poor business practices. Okay. To save a buck by any means necessary. This is one of those ones where everything falls in line where this can and should be shut down overnight.
Yeah.
And it's like every week in America we're discovering basically new disasters that were created under the Biden regime, all right, that are now coming to a head and basically reaching like a weaponized state against the American people nationwide. And you think this accident in Florida is not an isolated event, all right? There look up like horrific truck accidents, all right? They're on the increase. You'll find them all over the country. There's one in Michigan recently where it's a guy last name Rafiki, okay, an African, and we're talking like so African that he's got like the yellow sclera, okay, like he's literally has zero admixture, 100% Bantu, all right, couldn't speak English, caused a horrific truck accident, okay.
Yep. I think it's Michigan. They're having a problem with Haitians in this regard as well. Same deal. And the other thing that this highlights that I cannot stress enough is this is a result of the existence of sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, right? Because what they're doing is California, and I believe Washington State as well, they're giving CDLs to people who are federally excluded from being allowed to have commercial driver's licenses, right? You've got states acting in direct opposition and direct countervention of federal law for political purposes. So, and that's causing I mean, these are the consequences that we have long predicted of the sanctuary state policies. The sanctuary state, it's not, policy is not the right word, the sanctuary state strategy of the Democrat Party of sedition.
Yeah.
That's what sanctuary states are. They are sedition. They're rogue states actively engaged in sedition. In you don't want to do what the United States does. Secede.
Yeah, they're America last. Americans and America last. That is their last
Correct.
consideration. Okay, states like California, and there are countless basically inept non-English speaking time bombs right now on America's road, and there has to be a crackdown. You cannot tell me that there are non-Americans, okay, with CDLs who would be happy to do this job. They're just not going to do it for half a fucking wage, like these Indian truckers will do. Okay, it's a race to the bottom. That's what globalism is, an international race to the bottom for the lowest cost and the lowest quality.
Globalism is communism.
Yep.
The objective is a ruling class, a police class, and the rest of us, the bug-eating, pod-dwelling slave class. And the basic tenet from each according to his ability and to each according to his need. Meaning it doesn't matter what you can earn. You get what you need and no more than what you need. And that gets instantly abused by, oh, well, I can't work because my foot hurts and so, but I still have to eat. And I've got a sick mother that I had to move her in with me and I have to take care of her. So I need more for her. And no, go to work, son.
Yep.
So, I don't have much more to say on this apart from send them all back.
I would have if I was functioning this morning, but sadly I am not. Okay, and that is my fault. But yeah, I think you get the general idea. I've wanted to talk about this for several days at this point, because it's accelerating. Like, if you look at the article, it shows some photos of the recent victims.
The article you sent?
Yeah.
I think I have to.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's there. Look at that. I mean, like, nearly a couple that just got engaged. Okay, like Americans, they're gone now. Like this. It's not just saving money. Like this has real effects. Like, look at that. The dude. Okay. The guy who when he comes over, it's just, dude. These are real Americans. Dead. Because people who are not qualified to be on our roads, not qualified to operate 40-ton machines, are basically given a free pass to our economy because it saves the corporations money.
Yeah, and this is the one you were talking about, Rafiki in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, well, guys, I need to get on the road. So, Mario, I'm going to pop the camera back up real quick. Let me take one quick more look at the chat.
Yeah, we're gonna have to ban Alex from TPS Report Live. Okay, he is to the
because
end.
he keeps making terrible sense, and he's clearly trying to genocide the Yanks. Turn signals in a roundabout.
Get out of here, Alex. Okay, you're trying to kill Americans. All right, and I've had enough. I've had enough, sir. You need to be deported. Okay, we're sending you back, Alex. Sorry.
Sergeant Major says, "Drive safe, guys." Oh, hey, damn it, Pit Danny dropped. Sergeant Major says drive safe, and I couldn't concur more. Y'all be safe out there. I'm about to hit the road. We love you. Thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.
Ciao.
Oh, that was a good one.
Sorry, man. I'm just